Well, I'm really hoping my audio is working right, but I just worked some more overtime today. It's Saturday. Usually I make videos right in the morning, but I took a bit of a nap when I got home. I also did my leg day before going in at 6 a.m., so I'm sort of tired. Got to go out to dinner in the next hour or two. Lunch. Yeah. I wanted to talk about Fomo, which is a big part of quitting drinking. It's fear of missing out. I'm sure you already know that. But it's a very, very, very grappling thing that's caused me to relapse many times. When, like, there's events, just thinking of like the bar scene or the party scene, the club scene, if you're in your 20s, you have this compelling urge to go out and socialize, and you feel like you're going to miss out on events. Yeah, it's very strong. And the longer you're sober, like, it doesn't even affect me anymore, because in my mind, it's like when I see people posting about hangovers and their night out, it doesn't faze me. But earlier on, and I don't even know if I want to call it recovery or just being abstinent of drinking, it's quite strong. I remember vividly drinking because I was just bored. Boredom's one of the biggest things, which I need to make a video on. You need to stay occupied. That'll be a different topic. There's any type of events. I remember like Beer Fest during the summer here. It would get real bad, you know. I'd want to be down there and, drinking. Certain bands playing at the bar. Knowing my friends were going out, like it would increase the urge. And if it, usually this is much stronger in your first like 3 months. It gets a lot easier because you start to realize the money you're saving and the hangovers you're not having to experience and the time you're not wasting anymore. So now FOMO really isn't an issue for me now at 7 months. I mean, maybe if I sat and thought about socializing in that type of setting, it might bother me a little bit, but that gets much easier in time, honestly. Especially when like you come to realize that people are just very low IQ and degenerate when they're drinking, and you don't want to be that anymore. So yeah. No, it's just, you'll know what I'm talking about if you're a few weeks in and your friends are still contacting you. Like I've done this sober thing so many times that like my drinking buddies are like, even when I did drink again on the weekends, they weren't even my drinking buddies anymore, because I'd go like 2-3 months and they would contact me the first few weeks and then stop. And I think they got sick of that during like my sober sprees. Cause quite honestly, if I was around people that didn't even have a forethought of drinking. They didn't even think, a lot of people don't even think they have an issue. And if you even talk about it, like they're not having any of it. I'm sure these kind of people. There's people that when I got sober in 2017 for a bit, they were doing the same stuff. They're still doing the same stuff today. 6 years later, same stuff, and they don't even have a forethought about it. But I've always had it in the back of my head that I wanted to get sober, and I've always knew drinking was not adequate to like a successful lifestyle. You know what I mean? A lot of my friends don't even question these things, and they're still doing the same. And like I said, you don't talk about sobriety to these people and they just want nothing of it, or they deflect. So I don't preach to people unless they want to ask about it. If they're interested, I'll talk about it, or like on my social medias like this. And you'll know, people just, you're wasting your breath with them. Until they want to change, they're not going to change. But yeah, to fight that urge, it would correlate with boredom. Like if you're drinking from boredom, you have to find activities, exercise, pick up an instrument, make content, right? You have to stay active. That's the best trick, and you gotta utilize your boredom more. Like now, I don't have enough time in the day to do all the things I want. I mean, I'm still lazy sometimes. I still get bored, but the longer you go in sobriety, the easier the boredom is to handle. Like earlier on, it's wretched, man. Like it's the only thing you're gonna think about, you know. Like I said in previous videos, and I should probably talk on it more, like that, the obsessive thoughts of drinking, that gets much easier too, because earlier on it's like it's horrible, man. Spending hours just contemplating it back and forth, and then you give in, and next thing you know, you're drunk and it's 3 a.m. or 10 a.m. the next day, and you don't know, why you drank. How I got past that, I don't know. I was just finally sick of it, number one. And the first few weeks are always hard. You got to get through the first week and then make it to like past 3 months. And it starts to get easier. But FOMO, I mean, like, if my buddies were like, oh my God, we're going to get wasted at Beer Fest, like right now, it wouldn't even really faze me. You know, I might reminisce. I might get a bit of a craving. They pop up once in a while. But they're not nearly as strong, honestly. Alcohol has so much more of a pull on you when you're in early recovery. Those first few weeks, those first few months, I can only imagine how strong people are, having a few years or like 10, 20 years under their belt. I mean, I'm sure always a struggle. You never fully beat it, I don't feel. But I feel like so many people have become just iron-willed and they just won't go back. And I feel like time under your belt builds that resilience. Because even at 6 months, it's drastically different than 2 or 3. And 2 or 3 is drastically different from 2 weeks, honestly. People say in time, it changes everything, and they're 100% right. And until you go that distance, you won't experience it. And when you do, you'll be like, wow, that's amazing. This video is going to be a bit of a shorter one. I have another video I'm making today, too. Not being able to stand drunk people while sober. Like one paradox. It's a weird thing for me. A little brief insight. Like when I'm sober, I can't stand drunk people. And it's funny because I was one of them on the week. But yeah, anyways, that's about it. If you're missing out, you got to stay occupied, and you got to remember you're doing it for you. And if people are bugging you to drink and go out, they're really not your true friends, because I could be light years ahead of where I already am if I would have got sober earlier. I would have loved to have seen where I'd be if I would have done this when I was 25 and not, in my 30s. But then again, some people are in their 50s still doing this, so I'm blessed to have done it now. Yeah, that's it for this. Take it easy.